Be approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Your rates can never be increased, your benefits can never be decreased, and your coverage can never be canceled. There's no obligation, and you can start coverage right over the phone, starting at less than $1 a day. Call 800-605-3191. That's 800-605-3191.
Happy to see you're out of the hospital and back at it.
Me too. But my big health scare got me really thinking about the future. With my girls set to take over the family business, I want to make sure I don't leave them any of my debts.
We're just happy to have you back, Dad.
That's why I made a call and found out I'm eligible for $50,000 for my funeral and other final expenses. There was no medical exam, and I was able to get coverage right over the phone.
I'm glad you made that call.
Call 800-912-4512 now and see if you qualify for up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, starting at less than $1 a day. There's no medical exam, and you can be approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Your rates can never be increased, your benefits can never be decreased, and your coverage can never be canceled. There's no obligation, and you can start coverage right over the phone, starting at less than $1 a day. Call 800-912-4512. That's 800-912-4512.
Sherry's all new. Once you win the lottery, people come out the woodwork. I'm your uncle's cousin's first wife goddaughter.
This morning at 11 on Fox 5.
Starbucks lovers, here is some very exciting news. If you missed the chance to get your hands on that viral barista cup, it is now back, but only for a limited time. The coffee chain's holiday game Starbucks for Life Marathon is giving away 17,000 of the bear-shaped cups, along with gift cards, bonus stars, and even free coffee for life. That's quite a deal. The cups initially disappeared after selling out within hours of their release earlier this fall.
I want to interview someone who's won one of those for life deals.
Oh,
yeah. Did it really save you money? Well, Fox 5 News at noon is just about an hour away. Let's take a look at what's to come. The Jackets of Georgia Tech are playing in one of the best bowls of the postseason. Why head coach Key says winning this one is big. And Sony is celebrating the 30th anniversary of its PlayStation. New at noon, the impact this console has had on the gaming community.
Well, we thank you for joining us for Good Day Atlanta. Sherry is coming up next, and we invite you to stay connected to Fox 5 around the clock. You'll find us streaming throughout the day on our website. That's fox5atlanta.com, on Fox Local for your smartphones and streaming devices, and you can always listen in on the Fox 5 Radio 1 network at 107.9 HD2 FM.
We're also on social media. We're on Facebook. You can follow us on X or on Instagram at Fox 5 Atlanta. And you can also subscribe to our Fox 5 Atlanta YouTube channel. I hope to see you right back here.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome in. I'm Elise Seedy, and we're so happy to have you here with us on the stream. So something we want to talk about, something a little new that we're trying, depending on where you're watching us at this point. If you want to join the conversation, maybe there's a story that you want to chat about a little bit, or maybe you've got some questions about a news story that you see here, or perhaps weather. If you take a look at your screen right there, if you are on YouTube, you can find us by clicking on Fox 5 and then clicking the live button. You can leave us your comments there, or on TikTok as well at Fox 5 Atlanta Live. So send us your questions, send us your thoughts, and I'm going to be checking in on those throughout the show to answer those and hopefully get you the info that you want to know. But we want to start with this today. This is a big story that we are on top of for you and happening right now. The Georgia Supreme Court hearing an oral argument against the Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Let's take a deep dive into what exactly is going on with this today. So this is the fight against witness subpoenas by the state. So Willis is appealing that is a Superior Court order to testify before the Georgia Senate's Special Committee on Investigation. She is arguing the case is moot, saying it's invalid, it's unenforceable. She says the special committee ceased to exist as a legal entity capable of compelling her to appear and to answer questions related to her office's prosecutions stemming from the 2020 presidential election. So meanwhile, the committee chairman, Senator Bill Cowsard, says the case is still a live controversy. He claims that Willis is seeking an impermissible and erroneous advisory opinion from the court. This is a quote. He goes on to say that would impose new limits on the Georgia Constitution. So this all started at 10 o'clock on the dot. Counsel from the Barnes Law Group in Marietta arguing opposite counsel with Robbins, Alloy, Belafonte, Littlefield, that is. So we took just 5 minutes from each of their arguments. So let's listen in to what they had to say.
For over 150 years, the General Assembly has been very reluctant, particularly when it is only one house of the General Assembly, of giving to a regular or special committee of either of the House the right to exercise the power of subpoena, and for good reason. Recently, a committee of one of the houses of the Montana legislature subpoenaed the emails of the justices of the Supreme Court to determine the biases of those justices. The Supreme Court shut that down. But it illustrates the fragile nature that exists between each of the branches of state government. In a federal example, just in the last few years, a House of Representatives committee issued subpoenas to the accountants and financial advisors of President Trump and his family, seeking to investigate his business relations while he was president. The Supreme Court, in the case of Mazars, which I'm sure will be discussed today, held the balance of powers prohibited largely such action. A committee may subpoena persons and documents, but it must do so consistent with the law and Constitution of Georgia. Now, we know in this state, since the time that Ellis Arnold was governor in 1943, that the General Assembly has said that it requires joint action of both the houses of the General Assembly, not just one house, both houses of the General Assembly to issue a subpoena. And in 2025, the General Assembly, exercising that power, passed a bill that allowed subpoena at the discretion of the Speaker and the President of the Senate. But it is not something that can be done just by one committee, one special committee, not even the whole Senate, and certainly not the General Assembly.
Counsel?
Yes.
Can you speak to your, I think the argument you describe as mootness based on the different General Assemblies?
It is our contention the case is moot for two reasons. The first reason is the General Assembly that issued this subpoena is adjourned sine die. And under Mason's manual and established case law, the General Assembly cannot act after it adjourns sine die. Second reason that it is moot is that they have enacted a statute in 2025. Now, I will leave to another day whether I think that statute is appropriate. However, we, representing the district attorney, have acknowledged service on that subpoena and will appear on the 17th.
So, counsel, a question on the sine die piece. I think, at least as I would process the information, I don't know that you need that to be the rule. The more powerful rule, to me, in your posture, would be that when the 158th General Assembly convened, the 157th dissolved. Because obviously the legislature still has power after it adjourns sine die, correct?
It cannot take official action.
It can call back into a special session if a governor refuses to call a special session, yes?
3/5.
And if there's a DOT vacancy, they can elect a member of the Board of Department of Transportation.
Yes,
so
but
they still have power, yes?
I don't mean to cut you
you're
off.
okay.
I don't argue with you about the adjournment and the reconvening when the new session, but that's happened in this case.
I guess when
the 157th General Assembly is adjourned sine die, and the 158th General Assembly has met.
Mr. Chief Justice, Madam Presiding Justice, may it please the court. The case is not moot. The fact that the General Assembly adjourned both as a just matter of the second legislative session and that the 158th General Assembly is now in session or soon to be does not render the subpoena void. This is not a traditional mootness case. The attack is that the subpoena is void, and there is simply zero constitutional text to support that argument, and there is no reason this court should adopt it now. Nor does the fact that the witness has agreed to testify on December 17 change the calculus today. We agree that if the witness comes and testifies and actually answers questions, it may, and we are under a professional obligation to notify this court that it has been mooted pursuant to Title V, and we will. But that's not the case today. Borrowing from the presentation, we remember that we had dates before and it did not work out. We hope that it does. So with that in mind, I'll turn first to that question of just general mootness and whether the agreement itself provides a basis to not decide the case. The answer is no. While there is no specific authority on legislative subpoenas to testify before a legislative body, this matter was before the Superior Court and therefore governed at least in part by the Civil Practice Act. But 9-11-45 does not help. That's a subpoena for trial or deposition. And 9-11-30 doesn't help. That's a notice of deposition. So looking at this court's precedent, Rogers versus State Medical Board from 1980 is a good example. Physician was investigated by the board. He subpoenaed documents of the board. In the interim, before he got the documents, the medical board dismissed the case. There was then no need to enforce the subpoena because the physician got the outcome he was looking for. That may be the case on December. I'm sorry, yes, Your Honor.
Let me ask you a question. The previous dates that were set, there was no agreement to testify, correct?
There was going to be an acknowledgement of service on those dates, we believe, yes. And there were unfortunate circumstances with trial that prevented that.
So it didn't occur. So
that's correct.
Aren't we in a different posture now since she has agreed to testify?
We are. And it very well may be that on December 18, the appellant files a motion to dismiss as moot. We don't oppose it. And under City of Atlanta case decision from 1914 or 1944, if we don't oppose it, it's accepted as true. But
there's a second subpoena that has been issued, service of which has been acknowledged. What is the status of the first subpoena following the acknowledgement of service of the second subpoena? Has that superseded the first subpoena?
It does not. And there is no language in the second subpoena that says that it, what was the word, reissued, that it reissues. It is a separate subpoena.
So recognizing that that is a different position from your friends across the way, in a world in which your position is correct, such that there are simultaneously two valid subpoenas, I assume you would agree that if she actually does testify on December 17th, that is testimony, perhaps not fully responsive to, but testimony pursuant to both subpoenas. You would not take the position that it somehow is only pursuant to one subpoena, right?
If this case is still pending before the court, I think we would take the position it is pursuant to the second subpoena, which would then moot the first.
Well, but I mean, okay,
because she has testified.
Today, before the testimony on the 17th that we presume is going to happen, what can actually be done with respect to the first subpoena to the first special committee?
A couple things, Your Honor. And one is...
Because we agree that that special committee is, I mean, the people may be the same, but that has ended, right?
Yes and no. And this is a piece that I think is important and distinguishes this case, certainly from the Nebraska case and some of the federal ones. The fact that Senator Cowsert filed a counterclaim in his official capacity as a state senator to enforce the subpoena, and that provision was granted. There is a separate statutory...
Does an individual member of the legislature have standing to assert the interest of the legislature?
He could do so in his official capacity as chairman and in his official capacity as senator.
Was there any?
I've seen no authority.
Was there anything in the Senate resolution creating the committee that authorized the chairman of the committee to litigate on behalf of the committee?
It says that the committee would be authorized to enforce a subpoena, and the Senate committee's rules authorize the chairman to act.
So if you're just joining us right now, what you've been watching there is the Georgia Supreme Court hearing oral arguments in the case of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis trying to fight the subpoena, the witness subpoena that was issued by the state. So on one side there, you had former Georgia Governor Ray Barnes. On the other side there, you had Josh Belinfante, an attorney representing the opposition. So this is a whole showdown that comes a week after changes at the Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee dismissed the 2020 election interference case against President Trump. So just a little bit of background there. And of course, we will let you know what comes from those oral arguments in the state Supreme Court hearing today. So let's take a look at something else that we've got our eyes on for you. The Georgia teen accused of carrying out that shooting at Apalachee High School is back in court today. So we're talking about Colt Gray. He's facing dozens of charges for that shooting that happened a little over a year ago. So this hearing was originally scheduled to happen back in October. You might be wondering why this is just happening now. What was behind the delay? So our Mark Teichner is filling us in on the details of this.
It was the deadliest school shooting in Georgia history this afternoon. The alleged triggerman, Colt Gray, who was 14 at the time, is scheduled to appear for a status hearing. This hearing was supposed to take place in October, but got delayed when Colt Gray's new lawyer asked for more time because she was placed on the case earlier that month. Gray faces a total of 55 counts, including malice and felony murder, aggravated assault and aggravated battery, as well as child cruelty. Prosecutors want to try him as an adult. Colt's father, Colin Gray, has also been charged. Prosecutors say he gave Colt the semi-automatic rifle used in the shooting, despite knowing his son could pose a threat to the public. Colin Gray's trial has been moved to Hall County to avoid jury bias and is expected to start next February. The family of victim Christian Angulo has threatened to sue the Barrow County School District and a number of other agencies, claiming they ignored warning signs that could have prevented the shooting.
There were multiple opportunities, multiple failures to keep Colt Gray from getting access to the school, much less to the gun.
In September, Apalachee High marked the one-year anniversary of the shooting by holding a solemn day of service, during which students and staff gave back to the community in memory of the lives lost and in honor of the survivors.
Even though this evil person took from us and took from our families, we give to others.
Colt Gray's hearing is set for 2:30 this afternoon. Fox 5 will, of course, be in the courtroom, and we'll let you know everything that happens. Reporting from the live desk, I'm Mark Teichner, Fox 5 News.
I want to get you caught up on a few other local headlines that we've got our eye on today. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she is out in January, and a Northwest Georgia state senator is saying that he wants in. So we're hearing a little bit more from him and why he's wanting to do this. So we're talking about Senator Colton Moore, who you see there. He announced plans to run for Greene's soon-to-be vacant seat. Now, he says that her decision to resign, well, it upset him. He's arguing there needs to be a strong Republican in her place. So there's a new social media video that he put out. He says he's the right guy for the job, and he's joining 4 other candidates that are running from the seat. So let's listen in.
I'm 100% pro-Trump. I was the first elected official to call out the fraud in the 2020 election.
On my side, I just need to stay laser focused and making sure that I'm speaking directly to Democrats, Democrats, independents, and common sense Republicans.
So that second man you just heard from, the one that's still up on your screen, that's Sean Harris, and he is also gunning for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. So if he looks familiar to you, maybe you recognize the name. Well, that's because he ran against her last year. He says this time it's going to be different. He says he's confident second time's the charm. So just a refresher here, Marjorie Taylor Greene's last day as a congresswoman is January 5th of next year. Well, another surprising political move that we want to share with you today. Republican State Senator John F. Kennedy has announced he's resigning from his seat in the Senate to focus on a bid for Georgia's lieutenant governor. It's a race that's getting more and more crowded as the days pass. So a newly written statement was released, and Kennedy said, quote, "It's been an incredible honor to serve and represent the 18th district in the Georgia State Senate these past 11 years. He says his resignation is effective immediately. Again, we're talking about Georgia Senator John F. Kennedy announcing plans to run for lieutenant governor. The field is getting crowded, no doubt about it. But again, some new political news for you there. Well, getting you caught up now on some international headlines right now. Things continue to heat up, that struggle between Russia and Ukraine. So let's take a look at what's happening right now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he's confirmed that he has no plans to cede any land to Russia, despite President Trump's effort and working to facilitate peace between the two. So here's what President Zelensky told reporters. He said, quote, "Undoubtedly, Russia insists for us to give up territories. We clearly don't want to give up anything. That's what we're fighting for." So that's the statement from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. So President Trump has repeatedly pressed him to accept this proposal. He's arguing Moscow has the upper hand, and the only way to find peace is for Ukraine to come to the table and play ball. But today, Zelensky is again saying that they won't give up any land. He's rallying for European support for Ukraine. We're seeing him all over the place. In fact, he met with Pope Leo XIV at Castel Gandolfo. He's also set to talk to the Italian Prime Minister later today. So the Vatican said the Pope, quote, reiterated the need for the continuation of dialogue and expressed his urgent desire that the current diplomatic initiatives bring about a just and lasting peace. That was a quote. So the Holy See tried to stay neutral in the war, offering solidarity and assistance with what it calls the martyred people of Ukraine. The Pope has said he's met 3 times with Zelensky. He's also spoken by telephone at least once with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's called for a ceasefire. He's also urged Moscow in particular to try to make gestures, that is, to promote peace. So saying he's encouraging both sides to be willing to work together to find peace. Kyiv is strongly backed by UK's Prime Minister, by the French President, and by the German Chancellor as well. So again, we'll let you know if anything comes from those talks today between the Ukrainian president and European leaders. Another national story for you back here in the States. Accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione, well, he is still in court for a pretrial hearing in New York City. So prosecutors showed never before seen photo evidence of items he had in his backpack during his arrest at that Pennsylvania McDonald's nearly a year ago. Some of those items that they were shown included a loaded gun magazine wrapped in a pair of underwear. Mangione's defense is arguing that the evidence should never have been allowed to be shown at trial. They say that's because police didn't have a search warrant. They say they lacked the grounds to justify a warrantless search. So they're saying those should not have been shown in the first place. So prosecutors say the search was legal. They say it's Altoona police protocol to promptly search a suspect during an arrest and to check for dangerous items. So they're saying that's all that happened here and that what they did was legal. So one of the officers testified his backpack was being searched for bombs. And despite that safety concern, she acknowledged police never cleared the restaurant of customers or employees. So that's kind of what they're arguing over right now. So again, we're all talking about 27-year-old Luigi Mangione. He's pleaded not guilty to state and federal murder charges. Well, still ahead for you this 11 o'clock hour, we're talking about denied medical claims and the impact that that's having on Americans, the negative impact. So we're going to check in with the doctor who knows all about this firsthand right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 11:23 now. Okay, so Americans are feeling the squeeze. We're feeling the pinch everywhere. But one of the most financially devastating costs to talk about is when your insurance denies the claim that you're needing to make. So Dr. Erica Rowe Urquhart is joining us now to talk about what she calls silent medical debt. She's an orthopedic surgeon and an author. So Dr. Urquhart, thank you so much for being on the stream with us. Good morning.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you, Elise.
So let's dive into this. I mean, this is a really important topic, and I feel like most of us can say at some point there's been something that we've needed. We've had to go through the insurance process, and perhaps your claim has been denied. So a bit of what we're talking about today. So when we talk about affordability in America, Dr. Urquhart, denied medical claims rarely come up. So let's talk about why these hidden medical costs are so dangerous for patients who are needing this treatment.
Yes, we're seeing more and more denials of claims that are provided to commercial insurances. I think just to take a step back so that we're all understanding, when a patient sees their physician or their nurse practitioner, there may be something else that's required, be it another study, an imaging study, an MRI or a CT scan, or it could be a surgical procedure. And in order for the providers to be paid, or even say, for example, for surgery to be scheduled, one must get authorization or essentially a clearance or approval from the insurance company. And what we've been seeing over the last several years is an increasing number of denials of those types of claims. And actually, investigative studies have shown that certain insurers are using AI or software to essentially deny claims in mass batches without there even being a proper review of those claims.
Oh, geez. You know what? As a doctor, I can imagine this is something that's frustrating for you when you know that there's a procedure that a patient may need or something that you're recommending that they're running into barriers here. So, I mean, so what happens next when this is the situation? Are these patients paying out of pocket? Because I can imagine, that could be thousands of dollars.
It could be. Usually what we try to do is assume the role of an advocate for our patients. So we never want to just kind of let things rest with a denial where a patient is not able to have the care that we've indicated. So quite often we'll make an appeal, and if that's denied, then we'll request what's called a peer-to-peer review, where we attempt to speak with a specialist in our particular area that might then give us the approval. So most often hospitals or providers will go to bat for patients. But when that doesn't work, as you say, then the patient, if they decide that they want to pursue care, will have to pay out of pocket. So they have that dilemma of, do I just go on without getting the treatment that I need, or do I come out of pocket to pay for that care?
Even what you're saying about your doctor going to bat for you and there being an appeals process, all of that takes time. And so that's time that you're maybe putting off a procedure or a surgery, something that you really needed. So I can imagine that, clinically that can have some impacts.
Absolutely, and there are studies that show that as well. There was a cardiologist that wrote a paper around the time of COVID where he looked at the impact of these types of denials on the cardiology patient population, and they found that, in fact, they were seeing worse levels of disease because of these delays. And that is true. It's what we call a utilization management strategy, these prior authorization requirements. And essentially what insurers are trying to do is get a handle on how many patients are actually taking advantage of the care that they're paying for. And by doing this, as you say, it's the three words that no one wants to hear. It's delay, deny, defer. And that's really what this whole procedure is about. It's about basically putting the spigot on to reduce the flow of patients through healthcare, be it imaging centers or operating rooms, to minimize the number of patients that are taking advantage of their benefits that they paid for.
So you're in a really unique situation here because you run a practice where you do your own billing. So how has that shaped your understanding of what we're talking about here? What's really going on behind the scenes of these denials and these reimbursements?
I'm seeing it real time. I was fortunate enough to pursue an executive master's of business administration and have, gone to many conferences within my specialty. And no one who's in academia is really talking about this because there's that separation between the professor and the billing and collections within their health system. But in our practice, we're seeing things real time because we're not only taking care of patients, but we're entrepreneurs. We're running the practice. So we're feeling the delays, and we're actually seeing what's happening on the side of our staff that are trying to get these approvals. And I will say that we had to increase the number of staff that could handle these administrative burdens, I would say about 7 years ago. So the balance between clinical staff and staff who are behind the scenes, like I said, going to bat for patients, that balance has shifted significantly toward administrative staff in our practice.
So you've written or you're in the process of writing a book. This is my last question for you. What is the name of that? And then, what do you hope that folks, policymakers are able to take away from that?
Thank you so much for mentioning the book. So the book really talks about our capitalist society and the way in which we have monetized our healthcare. And it questions whether or not this monetization has benefited patients. So in the 18th century, there was a very famous financial guru, if you might say that. His name was Adam Smith, and he referred to our capitalist system as the invisible hand. So the title of the book is The Invisible Hand Wielding the Scalpel, and it's the hidden costs of America's health crisis.
All right. Well, we appreciate you sharing that with us and just talking today about what you call silent medical debt and how that is impacting so many Americans. So a very important topic. Dr. Erica Rowe Urquhart, orthopedic surgeon and author. Thank you so much for being live on the stream with us today. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, our time now is 11:31. Let's turn our focus now to the weather as we take a live look right now at Lake Lanier. If you look kind of center in your screen there, you see a bit of blue skies, but still quite a bit of cloud cover. I feel like we've gotten a little bit used to that lately. It's just been kind of cloudy and gray and cold. So let's find out what's happening today and for the rest of the week. We have meteorologist Jonathan Stacy joining us with a look out there. Hey.
Don't get used to it. How's it going?
It's good.
The sunshine is about to say hello.
Good.
Here.
Okay.
It's been quite the gloomy trend and pattern that we've had lay hold over the area really over the past week or so, but sunshine's about to break out, and that will help the temperatures because they need a lot of help. This morning we're still at 39 degrees here in Atlanta, and we are encroaching in on the noon hour. 40 degrees in Redan, go out to Dallas here, 43, 40 in Marietta. So you can see the numbers here. They are far from where they should be for this time of the year. We should reach a high around 58 degrees at this point, with winds coming in out of the north and the east. That looks to be downright impossible. We have some 30s still popping up in Canton, 39 degrees there. 46 is the leading number on the map there in Eaton. Over the next few hours, once again, sunshine breaks out. It will have to fight to defeat the cloud cover that's in place. From those clouds, no rain expected today at any point in time. Temperatures trying to grow into the 50s, but most will fall short. We'll look for a high of 50 degrees here in the city, 51 in Rome. Elsewhere, your temperatures will likely hover in the high 40s. Tonight, clear skies, a big drop in the numbers as we drop down below freezing outside the perimeter. We'll hold you at 35 degrees degrees here in Atlanta. And Wednesday, it will be a windy Wednesday as temperatures try to fly towards 60 degrees. So a day above average. That's something that we have not had in December. So temperatures are going to be climbing high on the backs of a pretty aggressive wind out of the south. We could get gusts easily topping some 35, 40 miles an hour as we go throughout the late morning into the early afternoon hours. These are not severe winds, but they will be significant winds. 6 o'clock in the morning, any wind that we have going, no matter which direction they come from, they will add insult to injury, reinforcing that cold air. Wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour in Carrollton. We'll keep on sending those wind gusts even higher as we get into the mid-morning period. Therefore, watch your trash can. You need to be on trash can alert.
Listen, trash can alert, and I've got an inflatable Santa. I've already not been able to keep him up, so I don't stand a chance, I think, with this wind.
He's been leaning.
He's on his face. That's where he's been.
We need Santa to stand straight up.
That's
so
right.
Keep in mind not only your trash cans, but as Elise mentioned, your Christmas holiday decor. It may not stand a chance, or maybe your neighbors, maybe a gift for your neighbor for the holiday period come Wednesday. Once again, those winds turning up through the morning hours, so you may want to go ahead and get that in order today, just so you can be ahead of the game and not playing chase as you get into Wednesday and get home and find that something has flown away, has caught its wings. Those winds will stay alive even through the post-sunset hours Wednesday, but they will have done their job at warming us up into the high 50s and lower 60s. By Thursday morning, I think there's still a whisper of wind, but they settle down a bit, and then Friday looks to be another fairly nice, moderate, warm day, a very December-like day based on climatological standards. Things looking good for the first half of the weekend. A quick spray of showers for Sunday, and then a strong cold front behind that will bring in some extremely cold air from the Arctic. 27 Monday morning.
Okay. But just looking at the extended forecast, what we just saw, things are improving, I would say, weather-wise, right? We see the sunshine stabilizing. It's not raining every day like it seemed like it had been.
Last week was a bit catawampus. You never knew when it was going to rain unless you were watching us.
Right.
And the skies always looked like they were yielding some type of suspicion, like where are we going here? And we couldn't get rid of the clouds, so we couldn't really warm up. So all these variables were just kind of working against your ideal atmosphere. We have cleared out some of those variables. Once again, the winds will come through tomorrow. There won't be any signal beyond them bristling and blowing you around. No clouds with it. No big fronts of the week until we get to next week. And that front, once again, will make some noise and drop the temperature.
Got it. Okay, Jonathan, thank you so much. We appreciate it. In just a few minutes, we got more of your headlines that we're following for you this morning. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone. 11:38. We're happy to have you with us for the 11 o'clock stream. I'm Elise Seedy. I want to do a quick reminder for you. If you have a chance to log into YouTube, you can watch us live there. You can also leave us your comments, leave us your thoughts. You see it up on your screen on TikTok as well. And want to give a shout out to, I saw a comment in here. It looks like this is from Dorothy Harp, 95, just saying good morning. So Dorothy, good morning right back to you. Remember, if you've got questions about some news stories or maybe something that you'd like for us to follow up on, then you can leave us those comments there. But in case you're maybe just joining us, we want to get you caught up on a few of the stories that we're following for you this morning, beginning with this one and something that's happening today. Accused Apalachee High School shooter Colt Gray is heading back to court. So last December, you'll remember officials are saying that the then 14-year-old took a semi-automatic rifle to school and allegedly opened fire. 2 students, 2 teachers died, 9 other people were hurt. The whole community was left emotionally scarred. This did a number on the school and on the community and really on the state as a whole. So this hearing was supposed to take place a few months ago, but it was delayed when Colt's new lawyer asked for more time. So Colt Gray facing 55 charges. That includes felony and malice murder. It includes aggravated assault, also aggravated battery thrown in there as well. Prosecutors are hoping to try him as an adult. Remember, he was 14 years old at the time that he was accused of carrying out the shooting. So the hearing is scheduled for 2:30 today. So make sure you're streaming with us live at 2 and 3, and we will certainly keep you updated on what happens with that hearing today with Colt Gray. So another big story for you today. Earlier, the Georgia Supreme Court heard oral arguments in Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's fight against a witness subpoena that was issued by the state. So she's appealing a Superior Court order to testify before a judge as a Georgia Senate's Special Committee on Investigations. What she's arguing is that the case is moot, it's invalid, it's unenforceable. She's saying she does not want to be forced into testifying by the committee. So meanwhile, the committee chairman, Senator Bill Cowsert, says that the case is still a live controversy. Oral arguments started at 10. They wrapped up things about 45 minutes later. Our photojournalist Billy Heath was outside the courthouse when things let out. So let's hear what he was able to catch on camera.
What is argued primarily today was mootness. The General Assembly that issued the first subpoena has adjourned, sine die, and it has no more power, and therefore it cannot enforce a subpoena. And in the 25 General Assembly, they passed a bill that said that committees can, with approval of the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor, can have the power of subpoena, which I think is bad practice, by the way, just personally. So that mooted the case also, and there's been a new subpoena issued under that.
And my question is, why are we here at all?
That's a good question.
Since the General Assembly passed a new
On
law.
a cold day. Why are we here? And I had to come from Mayretta, Georgia, from the Big Chicken. And and that was my point that I had, was that, listen, this is moot. This case is moot. She's going to appear next Wednesday.
Is she actually going to appear?
Yes, she's going to appear. And she would appear before. There's 2 things. I can't be in 2 places at one time. And I was trying some cases, and then I had a little kidney problem, and I couldn't appear once. And but she's going to appear. We've acknowledged service.
Will she actually answer all the questions, or can she refuse to answer some of the questions?
Well, I'll object where I think it's inappropriate. I mean, I will tell you this. Here you got this committee, got 3 people on this committee running for statewide office, and they're putting out fundraising, says we're going to go after Fani Willis and you need to send me $100. I mean, that's ridiculous. It is in bad faith. It should never have happened, and I'll represent her to the fullest of my ability.
Is she appearing on her own volition or to honor the subpoena?
She's appearing to honor the subpoena.
Should she, though? Should the General Assembly have the authority to subpoena a district attorney?
I don't think so. Not particularly just to harass him. I mean, you know,
Let me tell you, I mean, you know, you've read the resolution. She had a romantic relationship with the sister. Well, let me tell you something. If they disqualify every member of the General Assembly that has a romantic relationship with a secretary or a lobbyist, you're not going to be able to have a quorum next session. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Governor.
Can I ask you one more question? Do you have a reaction to Pete Scandalakis dropping the Trump case?
Well, as I told Bill Torpy, 2 grand juries found there was probable cause. We've all heard the tapes, and I think a jury should have decided the case.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah, you're just hearing there from Roy Barnes, former Georgia governor, an attorney who is representing Fulton County DA Fani Willis in her fight. So switching gears now, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, we know she's out this January. That's been news we've known now for a few weeks. But a Northwest Georgia state senator is saying he wants to step in. We're talking about Senator Colton Moore, and he announced plans to run for the Congresswoman's soon-to-be vacant seat. So it's who you see on your screen there. He says that her decision to resign upset him. He's arguing there needs to be a strong Republican in her place. So he released a social media video saying he's the right guy for the job. He actually is joining 4 other candidates who are running for that seat. Again, Marjorie Taylor Greene's last day as a Congresswoman is January 5th of next year. Another pretty surprising political move here to share with you now. Georgia Republican State Senator John F. Kennedy has announced he's resigning from his Senate seat to focus on a bid for Georgia's lieutenant governor. That's a race that's getting more and more crowded as the days pass on. It seems like we're constantly learning about someone else who is running for that position. So a newly released statement, Kennedy said it's been an incredible honor to serve and to represent the 18th district in the Georgia State Senate these past 11 years. He says his resignation is effective immediately. Okay, so this is a really wild story that we have to share with you. Wild, wacky, there's a lot of words we can use for this. You might come up with your own after you hear it, but a couple of South Carolina inmates thought that Christmas was coming a little bit early this year, so you have to actually take a look at what you're seeing right now. Officials say that a guard at this South Carolina jail discovered a drone that was carrying contraband. So usually it's something like, you know, weed, cigarettes, and the like, but this time around, it was also steak and crab legs. And don't forget that tin of Old Bay that you see on your screen right now. This is what the drone was carrying, y'all. This is crazy. South Carolina Department of Corrections posted a photo of the loot on X with the hashtag Contraband Christmas. Officials are saying they're used to people trying and failing to get things like cell phones and maybe drugs into the prison, but apparently raw meat and seafood weren't on their bingo card. I don't think that was on any of our bingo cards. I've never heard of this being what the contraband is. So just in case you're wondering here, flying a drone near a prison in South Carolina, that's actually a misdemeanor that carries up to 30 days in jail, but dropping contraband into the prison, that's a felony. And that can land someone behind bars for 10 years. So a lot of risk went into dropping this Old Bay, that steak, and those crab legs. So far, no arrests have been made. But honestly, it sounds like they are on the case and something could be found from all of this. But certainly a first. Contraband Christmas is what they're calling it. Our time is 11:47, and we're back right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 11:49. Just a quick reminder: if you've got something you wanna say, maybe you've got a question about a news story that we've covered, or just want to share your thoughts, you can do so by looking. Okay, no, this way. Oh, I knew I was gonna mess. Nope, this way. Okay, right there on YouTube at Fox 5 Atlanta Live, or on TikTok at Fox 5 Atlanta Live as well. So I already gave a shout out to Dorothy, who chimed in just to say hello. So be sure to leave us your thoughts and your questions, and I check those throughout the newscast for you. Okay, so what a treat we have for you right now. I'm really excited to get to show you this. It's a brand new exhibit at the Savoy Automobile Museum in Cartersville, which is such a gem. So it's called Ferrari in America, and it's just as luxurious as you can possibly imagine. So this morning we've got our Chris Rosenthal, who is there. He's checking it out for us. I mean, I feel like this is VIP status for you, Chris, because this just opened up today.
This just opened up today. Yeah, I got kind of a first-hand look at this. In fact, some people are already coming in to take a look. These are actually not Ferraris behind me. These are some Shelbys, but I'm going to switch around here and show you the room of Ferraris. These are some beautiful, beautiful cars. I got a kind of a personal tour here. Mary Agrusa from the Savoy Automobile Museum. She knows all things Ferrari. And tell me a little bit, and we can walk over here to the cars here, but tell me a little bit about, this is Ferrari in America. I mean, talk to me about the connection here.
Okay, well, this is the foundation of Ferrari coming into the U.S. The oldest car we have is from 1950. We go up to 1979. So if people were coming in expecting to see what is on the market now, that's not what's here. But what do you see here is the groundwork that was laid. This is what got Ferrari into America, what got Americans aware of the brand, because it wasn't something that we knew about. Came in initially as far as race car drivings, but then eventually it wound up in people's driveways. So these are the early Ferraris. Probably most people have never seen them. Some of them are very limited edition. For example, this car here, there were only 6 of these made and only 3 in this body style. It was designed by Pininfarina, but it was built by, yeah, I'm dropping the name. But it was hand-built by Vinali, another Italian car builder. Beautifully restored. The people that own this actually drive it, but this is considered probably in the classic Ferraris one of the most beautiful ones that they did.
And this is, I mean, this is 1952. This is not something. This is not what we think of when we think of a Ferrari. We think of that red Testarossa or something. Huh?
Absolutely, and we were even remarking today. If you look at the side of this, it would remind you of a Rolls Royce.
Wow,
has very much that look to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have this one over here. I mean, this is this had a very, very famous owner, huh?
This was actually owned by the Argentinian President Juan Perón, and if people are not familiar with him, just think of Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Eva Perón was his wife. Now, she had passed before he bought the car. He found it, he saw it actually at a show over in Italy in 1952, wanted one. For some reason, for import reasons, he had to have Ferrari change the chassis number on it. Don't really know what the deal was for that in terms of getting it into Argentina. This was his personal car. He owned it 2 years later. He was exiled. The car sort of just fell into disrepair. Around 1990, someone found it. They restored it. But the people who owned it now also put it through a restoration. And so when you're restoring a car like this, and especially they are going into what we call a concourse level restoration, you're going back to make the car exactly as it was. It came from the factory. So it's to the point that if there was a screw that was there that originally was a Phillips head and you just have a single slot, you're going to lose points for that. You may have to have parts custom made because the parts don't exist anymore, but you're going back to how the car was originally set up.
You know, and talk about the original. I mean, talk to me a little bit about Mr. Canetti. I mean, the first dealer here.
He met Enzo Ferrari. They were both race car drivers. They both raced for Alfa Romeo. Mm-hmm. So they knew each other. He came over here in 1940 to race in Indianapolis. Italy went into the Second World War. Mm-hmm. He elected not to go back. He stayed here. He became a citizen. and still considered, you know, was still working in racing. So after the war, he went back over to Italy to see his old friend and said to him, look, why don't you bring race cars over into America? Now, this was in 1946. Ferrari's first official car comes out in 47. And Ferrari said to him, well, if you'll buy 5 of them, I'll make them. And Kennedy said, I'll buy 20. Now, he didn't have the money for 20.
Sure.
But he was the first to bring a Ferrari in 1949. Now, initially, it was all about racing. He was the developer of NART, which was the North America Race Team. Initially, he was still racing. He actually drove, he was known in Le Mans that he drove 20 of the 24 hours in a race because his co-driver got sick. Wow. And he was also the first person to win Le Mans three times. So his emphasis really was racing, which he brought the cars in for racing, but then the rich and famous saw the cars and they started going into the driveways of very wealthy individuals.
Absolutely, yeah. They went from race cars to cars that people had and drove, and you can come look at these cars. You know, this exhibit goes until March 29th. You know, we kind of start with the 50s back there, and then we come over here. We get a little more modern. This is a 1979 Ferrari.
That's the Koenig.
Koenig special here. So a little more maybe familiar to a little more modern eyes here. But yeah, this exhibit goes until March 29th here at the Savoy Automobile Museum in Cartersville.
That's amazing. Okay, really quickly, Chris, did you have a favorite of what you saw out there? I don't know how you'd pick, but was there one in particular?
Absolutely. You know, it's the one we started on. It's this blue one, and I think Mary agrees. This is
what a beauty.
I asked her earlier which she'd take home, and this is the one I would. I think I'll trade in my my Toyota.
Oh, how funny! Here, so. That'd be an easy choice, right? Chris Rosenthal joining us at the Savoy Automobile Museum with a really cool look at a brand new exhibit there. The website up on your screen. So, Chris, thank you so much for that. Really quickly, if you're just joining us, want to get you caught up on the weather. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy is saying it's another cold afternoon. Today, the highs are going to be in the 40s. A slight warm up, though, is expected on Wednesday and Friday. I'm excited because temperatures are going to be dropping back to the 40s by Monday. So there you have it. And this really quickly, too, we asked you to share your thoughts, your comments, questions that you may have. Lots of you are doing so on TikTok, talking about the medical insurance denial. Someone even asked that we take a closer look into homeowners insurance. So we hear you loud and clear, and we're taking that all in. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here at noon. Take care.